Welcome to today's meeting of the Bass Coast Shire Council, Wednesday the 21st of June 2023. I ask that everyone turn off their mobile telephones, and in the case of emergency, please advise the chair is switched to silent mode. Bass Coast Shire Council acknowledge the Bunurong as the traditional owners and custodians of the lands and waters, and pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and law. Bass Coast Shire Council celebrates the opportunity to embrace and empower the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island communities in their diversity. Bass Coast Shire Council will create opportunities for future recognition, respectful partnerships that will honour the traditional owners and custodians and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. I call on Councillor Ron Bower to read the councillor statement, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All members of this council pledge to the Bass Coast Shire community to consider every item listed on this evening's agenda based on the individual merits of each item, without bias or prejudice, by maintaining an open mind and disregarding councillors' personal interests so as to avoid any conflict with our public duty. Any councillor having a conflict of interest in an item will make a proper prior disclosure to the meeting and will not participate in the debate or the vote on the issue.
Thank you, Councillor Bower. We have an apology from Councillor Rochelle Holstead. There are no declarations of interest. Can I have someone move and someone to second that minutes of the council meeting held on the 17th of May 2023 be confirmed, please? Councillor Rooks and Councillor Kent. Those in favour? That's carried. As has become our practice, Mayor and Councillor reports will be withheld and be made available through the minutes. We had a very exciting period with the honours in the King's Birthday 2023 honours list. Dr. Peter Dan was acknowledged, and please join me in applauding Dr. Peter Dan for being granted a Member of the Order of Australia medal, I believe. Medal of the Order of Australia for his significant service to conservation and the preservation of seabirds. Former Research Director of Phillip Island Nature Parks and Adjunct Professor at Victoria University, Peter has shown exceptional dedication to conserving and researching the penguin population of Phillip Island. Dr. Dan was influential at Phillip Island Nature Parks and is the founding director of the Penguin Foundation, a founding board member of the World Seabird Union. He was also the associate editor of Marine Ornithology and held numerous roles at BirdLife Australia. It is not an underestimate to say his unwavering commitment has turned our little penguin from near extinction to one of the largest wild populations in the world, and congratulations to Dr. Peter Dan. Also acknowledged is Ella Angerin. Congratulations to our own Ella Angerin for being awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia at the latest King's Birthday 2023 honours list for service to Women's Australian Rules Football. Recreation and Open Space Planner at Bass Coast Shire Council, Ella is a true trailblazer and is recognised for outstanding work in achieving gender equality in sport. Her passion and dedication have paved the way for a more inclusive and empowering sporting community in Bass Coast and beyond. Ella has received numerous accolades and awards and is the founder, president, assistant coach and player for the Bass Coast Breakers Women's Football Club. She has also passed on her knowledge by establishing and inspiring Daleston Youth Girls team, making an incredible community contribution. Again, congratulations to Ella. That brings us to public question time. The first one's from Deb Leonard at Bass Coast Play Spaces. Of the play spaces listed in the Bass Coast Shire Play Space Strategy 2017 implementation plan, and each of the high priority, medium 1 to 4 years, medium priority 5 to 7 years, low priority 8+ years, future priority categories for development, renewal and upgrades, which have still not been implemented. CEO.
Through the Mayor, Council has delivered 7 play space renewals and a further 7 are scheduled for completion by the end of 23-24. The Play Space Strategy 2017 implementation plan is intended as a guide only. The delivery of projects within the implementation plan is subject to funding opportunities and will vary depending on annual condition audits and renewal demand.
And Kevin Griffin, CEO Performance Indicators. Council's website provides a list of CEO key performance indicators for the period 16th of February 2022 to 16th February 2023. Will Council update the list to show the CEO key performance indicators and evaluation methods available for the current period? I will answer that. The performance indicators will be published when endorsed by Council. Question 3, Kevin Griffin, Council Professional Development Cost. In May 2023, Council reported professional development costs to 31st of March is totalling $40,167.97. Will Council now please provide itemised details of all professional development costs for each councillor?
Through the Mayor, this information will be published in the minutes.
Maxine Sando, the Esplanade Surf Beach. The Esplanade Surf Beach is a no-through road between Dunvegan and Glen Streets due to protected shearwater rookeries on both sides of the track. Could Council consider a similar option for the Esplanade between Bruce Street and Pine Avenue the same way for local access only?
Through the Mayor, this option can be further investigated during detailed design if the road and drainage improvement project is supported in due course.
Glenn van der Noot, Federation Reserve Master Plan. On the 16th of June, the Council will upload the Federation Reserve Master Plan to its website. Why has Council only given the Coronet Bay community 5 days to peruse it before it is to be voted on by the councillors at the meeting on the 21st of June? Don't you think that such an important document should be given at least 2 weeks to read through it to see if it has covered all the things it had asked for, as well as to check if there are items in the master plan that we don't want or need?
Through the Mayor, significant community engagement was undertaken in late 2022 to inform the development of the draft master plan. The draft master plan was then available for further community feedback over March and April 23 prior to being presented to the June Council meeting. Councillors will consider and debate all aspects and implications of this issue as part of Council's agenda.
Louise Tyrrell, public question time, October 22 to March 23, Surf Beach Sunderland Bay Special Charge Scheme. Why didn't Council answer public questions at the October 22 meeting, nor Council officers contact question submitters as was stated in Council minutes, or answer questions relating to Sunderland Bay Surf Beach Special Charge Scheme agenda as was stated by the March 2023 meeting? Will Council please answer the public questions from the October 22, March 23 Council meetings at June 23 Council meeting to adhere to Governance Rules Chapter 2, Division 8, Public Question Time 54.1.
Through the Mayor, Clause 54.11 of the Governance Rules allows Council to group like questions and provide a single response. This was applied to questions submitted at the October 2022 Council meeting. Council considered the Surf Beach Sunderland Bay Road and Drainage Improvement Preferred Concepts Design report at the March 23 Council meeting. Council does not provide a response to questions on matters that are subject to consideration by Council at the same meeting.
Susie Wicks, Phillip Island Special Charge Scheme. Why has Council not sought external funding for the current proposed special charge scheme being undertaken on Phillip Island?
Through the Mayor, Council has been actively advocating to seek external funding assistance.
Karen Buckney, Surf Beach Sunderland Bay Special Charge Scheme Aerial Concept Plan. Will Council please distribute a paper copy of the aerial concept plan they adopted, attachment 8.1 March 2023, providing easy access to critical information prior to being asked to vote on the scheme?
Through the Mayor, they can be provided for viewing in paper copy to property owners on request. Concept plan sets are available on Engage Bass Coast website for digital viewing and printing.
Danielle Inwood, Special Charge Scheme Financial Hardship. In the last 20 years of road schemes implemented, what % of ratepayers sought financial hardship support from Council? Of this, what percentage were government pensioners? And question 1, what was then the approval rate for financial hardship support for both non-pensioners and pensioners?
Through the Mayor, Council does not collect this information.
Now just Rob Chandler, Financial Hardship Support. Guidelines for access to Council financial support highlight only ratepayers whose property is their principal place of residence can access support. This requirement is non-negotiable. Why are those ratepayers discriminated against, and what alternative means of support does Council provide?
Through the Mayor, Council's financial hardship policy is designed to provide targeted support to ratepayers who are experiencing financial hardship and are unable to meet their day-to-day financial commitments. Owners of multiple properties have more financial options to meet their commitments.
Graham Jolly, Cowes Cultural and Community Centre cost benefit. Council engaged SGS Economic and Planning to provide a cost benefit analysis reports for the Cowes Community Centre overall replacement of 2 buildings for 1 new building. What was the cost for the initial report used for approval by councillors and the second report, October 2021, public report adjusted?
Through the Mayor, SGS Economic and Planning conducted the initial cost benefit analysis, which amounted to $25,000. Subsequently, an updated version of the report was prepared at an additional expense of $2,700. The completion of the cost benefit analysis was mandatory for our funding applications, which included Growing Suburbs, Better Build Regions and Living Libraries Fund. These applications were successful in securing $8.3 million of funding.
Kim Lightfoot, vehicle charging stations, stations at Newhaven Information Centre. What is the cost to provide 3-phase 415-volt power supply to new vehicle charging stations that are 32 amp charging at Newhaven Information Centre?
Through the Mayor, Council is delivering 4 high-speed electric vehicle charging stations at Newhaven, Inverloch, Wonthaggi and Grantville at a total estimated cost of $430,000. Council has allocated $140,000 and secured grant funding of $290,000 from the Victorian Government under its Destination Charging Across Victoria program.
Joe Warrilow, topic waste disposal tonnage. Council's 3-bin waste pickup system has on many occasions been very successful. Would Council please provide waste disposal tonnage figures for each bin for 22-23?
Through the Mayor, for the 11 months to end May 2023, Council has collected 5,055 tonnes of household rubbish, 4,638 tonnes of mixed recycling and 11,440 tonnes of food organics, garden organics through curbside collection services. The Bass Coast community are on track to recover and recycle more than 75% of household materials again in 22-23.
Joe Warrilow, Council's emissions. Council's climate emergency plan has given Council the means to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Would Council please inform what Council's emissions were for 21-22?
Through the Mayor, emissions from Council operations and facilities totalled 11,919 tonnes in 21-22. This is a decrease of 10% on the previous year, thanks largely to Council's transition to 100% renewable electricity under the Victorian Energy Collaboration from 1 July 2021.
Mel Pinkerton, Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission. A series of reports of IBAC, Mr Woodman, a developer, City of Casey Council, court findings became public. What actions has Council, the CEO, put in place that safeguards any matter Council is dealing with?
Through the Mayor, Council has adopted a gifts, benefits and hospitality policy and Councillor Code of Conduct. A gift register is maintained and councillors receive through training and support in declaring and managing conflicts of interest.
Melissa Dagg, Cowes Cultural and Community Centre. Council's big build, the replacement Cowes Cultural and Community Centre requires internal fixtures, furnishings and landscape for the site to be fully completed. What is the cost for fixtures, furnishings and landscaping?
Through the Mayor, the fixtures, furnishings and landscaping works for the Cultural Centre all form part of the current contract that was awarded in October 2021.
Ms Melissa Dagg, Township Structure Plans. Would Council please provide a tabulation showing all townships in the Bass Coast Shire, which include their Township Structure Plans review dates?
Through the Mayor, copies of all endorsed structure plans are published on Council's website and include a review date where applicable.
The next one's Graham Jolly, Gap Road Property Solar Farm. Mayor's message 6 June 2023 informed the switching on of the 12 million battery in Gap Road, Phillip Island, saying will be recharged using solar. Is the Mayor reporting the Gap Road property will be the site for a solar farm primarily? And I'll answer that, no. Questions from Questions from the following people have been received in relation to item 8.2, Amendment C162 BASC panel report on the council agenda. Caroline Ferguson, Lorraine Ingbritson, James Ingbritson. The question will be published in the council minutes. Councillors will consider and debate all aspects and implications of this issue as part of the council's agenda today, so the detailed answers won't be given. That brings us on to notice of motions, of which there are none. And we have a petition, Amendment C162, and I seek a councillor to move and a councillor to second the motion as set out in the agenda papers. Councillor Kent, Councillor Rooks, Councillor Kent.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Look, I'd just like to accept the petition, nothing more than that, and we'll be talking later on in the meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Rooks. Further comment? Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, shall we put that, Councillor Kent?
Thank
Those
you.
in favour? That's carried. That brings us to reports requiring council decision. 8.1, adoption of annual budget 2023-24, and I call on Mr Phil Malter to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to adopt the 2023-24 budget, fees and charges and annual action plan. Council has prepared a budget that maintains our existing service levels and infrastructure while continuing to fund a significant capital works program of close to $30 million that will provide the community with a number of public realm improvements, upgraded infrastructure and recreational facilities. This is being done within the constraints of a 3.5% rate cap and in a challenging economic environment, which includes ongoing inflationary pressure, rising interest rates and a slowing property market. This reflects the organisation's approach to continuous improvement to create efficiencies, early repayment of debt and the application of savings for funding capital upgrades and infrastructure renewal. The annual budget has been finalised following the community engagement process that provided the public with an opportunity to provide feedback and make public submissions on the draft budget. Council received 17 submissions on the budget, and while no additional funding has been provided, a number of actions and reviews are currently underway which will address these requests. These are detailed in an attachment to the report. The budget projects an operating surplus of $5.2 million and a balanced funding statement position. Council's reserves are funding the landfill rehabilitation works required in 23-24. Council's financial position remains sound with a working capital ratio of 1.8, reinforcing its ability to meet its financial commitments as they fall due, and projected borrowings well within the prudential limits. Highlights of the budget include funding for the construction, planning and design for a number of significant projects that will deliver tangible benefits across the Shire to the Bass Coast community. The annual action plan contains 25 actions for proposed completion in 2023-24 that have been developed to support the 6 strategic objectives in the Council Plan 2021 to 2025. These are detailed in an attachment to the report and build on Council's focus on protecting our natural environment, healthy communities, managing our places, promoting sustainable development, growing our economy and leading for the community. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Phil Malter. Can I have a councillor to move and a councillor second the report? Councillor Laserve and Councillor Lang. I don't know what's going on with me today. Councillor Laserve. You're on mute, councillor. Been a long time since I've been able to say that to you.
Still talking while I'm on mute, so that's all right. Yeah, so I might say that I was pleased to see that there was 17 submissions to the budget. But there was a number of highlights, and I think Mr. Formica has just highlighted those, but I just want to draw people's attention to the capital works projects program, having $29.4 million in that program, which that's, a great result. That'll provide the community with the improvements and upgrades and infrastructure that will come out of that plan. There's 25 actions to do that. Some of these projects have been on the community's wish list for a long time. The budget has been developed within that rate cap increase of 3.5, which was mandated by the state government. I think an important point is that we've been committed to, paying down the debt, starting with this year, that 22-23 year of $3 million and a further 1.6 million in the 23 to 24 year in this budget. And I think it's really also to raise a quality service for the community is always at the forefront of this budget. I just also want to say that the budget is reviewed by the Audit and Risk Committee, which has 3 independent qualified members. So I'm happy to recommend the budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Serve. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be pointing out that the rate cap continues to be a thorn in the side of councils who are now working within budgets of diminishing returns. The Essential Services Commission recommended a rate cap of 4% to the state government. This was not followed by the state government, who set it at 3.5%. While councils don't want to increase rates more than what we have to, we are, after a few years of this rate cap, trying to deliver with one arm tied behind our backs. Things have changed quite significantly, as Councillor Serve mentioned and Mr. Phil Malta mentioned, since we passed the 22-23 budget. And while we have allocated $29 million to capital works, which is a fantastic result, it is almost the same as last year's, and it probably won't be getting the same given the significant inflationary pressure that council is experiencing, much like everyone else in Australia. So this is a really responsible budget, which we are paying down our borrowings, as Councillor Serve mentioned, with a very low deficit consistent with what was projected in the long-term financial plan. And it's also excellent to see the major upgrades. I just wanted to highlight a couple in the Bunurong ward. Inverloch Hub will be getting an improvement to its disability access and also some general upgrades. Some road renewals across the Shire. I'm not going to list them all here, but there are many. It's fantastic to see that Cape Patterson will be funded for a traffic management plan, and that Inverloch will get an access and movement study that sets the scene for a future activity centre plan, fingers crossed, for the future sustainability of its highly valuable and very busy central business district. And I also wanted to echo what Councillor Serve said. I wanted to thank everyone and every community group that has made an inquiry or made a submission on the annual budget. It is a vital document that council officers with councillors spend several briefings on to get right, but without this feedback, the effort becomes a lot harder. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. Oh, Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers sitting in the gallery and ratepayers watching this meeting. I thank Mr. David Philmater and his team for the efforts in preparing this budget, considering the pulls and tugs by councillors trying to get their projects funded. I'm happy to see that what I was worried about last year, the cost of supply blowout, the interest rates rises, and the CPI have been taken into account and incorporated in this budget. So unlike last year when I voted down the budget, this year I'm happy to endorse it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, Councillor Lasserve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really just to thank the finance team and also the community that made an effort to put their submissions in. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lasserve. Those in favour? Against? That's carried. That brings us to 8.2 Amendment C162 BASC Panel Report. Mr Sturton to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the recommendations of the Independent Planning Panel for Amendment C162 to the Bass Coast Planning Scheme. This amendment proposes altering the land from farming zone to low-density residential zone for the subject land identified at Bass Road, Bass. This land is within the existing settlement boundary. It is noted that this amendment is for rezoning the land only and is not a development, subdivision proposal or seeking drainage approval. Amendment was placed on exhibition between 15th of December 2022 and 16th of January 2023 and attracted 7 submissions, 2 in favour and 5 opposed. All submissions were referred to the Independent Panel for consideration and a further objection was tabled late. The Independent Planning Panel have noted that the rezoning is strategically justified, will ensure ongoing provision of housing supply, will improve local infrastructure and have recommended that Amendment C162 be approved as exhibited with no changes. Officers have considered all aspects of this amendment and recommend that Council adopt C162 in accordance with the panel's recommendations and submit the amendment to the Minister for Planning for approval. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Sturton. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lasserve and seconded. Councillor Kent. Councillor Lasserve.
Thank you. Mr Sturton's covered a lot of the issues I was going to raise. But at 15th of February 23 this year, Council considered submissions and the report that was presented at that time, and we resolved to refer all submissions to the Independent Planning Panel. The submissions raised concerns about appropriateness of site and flooding and stormwater and all of those other impacts. But this report is just about that rezoning from farmland to low density residential. The planning panel, they concluded the amendment is just strategically justified and has recommended that it be approved. In summary, the panel, highlighted that there was a need for more low density residential allotments. It is within the town boundaries and it was marked for short-term low density residential opportunities. That's been really important, the fact that it is inside the town boundaries. The planning process for future subdivision will enable people to have a look at the design, the details of the design of the drainage, the land capacity, traffic, bushfire, character, minimum lot size to be addressed at that stage. And that's not what we're here for today. It will also cover at another stage the addressing the flooding and drainage issues that people have raised with us. There was a 7-page petition which was tabled today with the objections, and I've read that petition and I know that area fairly well. There are a lot of small allotments already in that area. Under the planning scheme and the subdivisional plans, these blocks will be possibly over 4,000 square metres if there's no sewage to those allotments. There are a number of 4,000 square metre blocks to the west of the property and many other lifestyle blocks in that area. The one query that I had about this, about the town boundaries was that they were set about 10 years ago right across Bass Coast in all our small townships, and identified areas of low density zone was for future development. I think it's, to my knowledge, the Bass Township boundaries issue wasn't raised in the petitions.
I'll ask you to wrap up, please, Councillor Lasserve.
Sorry, it's just that it wasn't raised at the Dell, at the level of the Dell where Cape Patterson was when they wanted to bring their boundaries back. And I thought that was an important factor. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lasserve. Councillor Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councillor Lasserve's covered everything and a bit more. The only thing I see is this will address a known shortage of land in the Bass Coast area in the future. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Lasserve, have you said enough?
No, I've got lots more, but anyway,
fine.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we're quite clear about where we're going with this.
We are indeed. All right, I'll put that, those in favour. That's carried. That brings us to 8.3, Federation Reserve Open Space Master Plan. Mr Sturton will introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present to Council for adoption the Federation Reserve Open Space Master Plan located in Coronet Bay. Extensive engagement has been conducted with the community, which included an online survey and drop-in consultation sessions. As a result of this process, a number of key actions have been provided in the final master plan, and they include creation of a picnic space with barbecue facilities, improved drainage, new play space inclusive of fitness area, a new multi-purpose active court space, additional water fountain, standalone shed and shelter at the community garden, and potential water harvesting and solar opportunities. The adoption of the Federation Reserve Master Plan will provide a clear direction for the development of this much-loved township-level community open space. Funding will be made available in future years to deliver upon the master plan, which will be conducted in consultation with the community. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Sturton. Can I have a councillor to move and second the report, please? Councillor Lasserve and Councillor Kent. Councillor Lasserve.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll try not to make this one so long. For those who don't know, the Federation Reserve is the heart and soul of Coronet Bay, and for the locals, but also for the district communities as well. And there's been a long push for this to have this master plan completed for that area and upgrading their facilities. There's been a long-standing issue with drainage at Coronet Bay, and that's been something that the community have told us, and the ward councillors have all really put that on the table and fought hard for it. Coronet Bay has got a fabulous community garden, but drainage is their big issue. There are many great volunteers that work in that community garden and in the Federation Reserve itself. So it holds resident ratepayer group meetings. They have a lot of kids play space and stuff. So the plan is great. I noticed there was a question at question time regarding it. I think that there will be further consultation as we get to those projects. So I'm happy to really endorse this and get the job done, and let's get on with it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor. Councillor Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank council officers for the hard work that they've done. Also want to thank members of the community who have contacted me over the last couple of weeks with little concerns about the plan. And can I put them at ease and say, look, this in the future, this plan can be tweaked a little bit to address those concerns, and it'll be a direction for development in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Any other councillor wish to speak on this? If not, shall we put that, Councillor Lasserve?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Those in favour? Carried. Brings us to 8.4, Building Asset Management Plan Review. Mr Sturton to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this one is to present the review of the 2023 Building Asset Management Plan. Considering the condition and intervention needed across Council's 410 buildings with a replacement cost of $109 million, the Building Asset Management Plan is one of a suite of management plans that guides the maintenance of Council's $730 million asset base, informs the 10-year asset plan and the renewal components of Council's long-term financial plan. The Building Asset Management Plan has found that Council's building asset base is sound, with 73% of assets in very good and good condition and 24% in fair condition. It is also noted that this plan considers the impacts of climate change risks through an asset vulnerability assessment framework, which is sector-leading across local government and asset management practice. The plan was advertised from 11th of April until the 5th of May 2023, and no submissions were received. As such, the Building Asset Management Plan is presented to Council for adoption, noting the maintenance and renewal scenarios for Council consideration in future budget deliberations. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Mr Sturton, councillor to move and second. Councillor Rooks and Councillor Lasserve. Councillor Rooks.
Thanks, Mayor Whelan. I think Mr Sturton has taken all my thunder. What I will say is that, it was a great review to do. It's so important, our buildings, we have 410 buildings. And as Mr. Sutton said, 73% are in good or very good condition. There are 24% that are in fair condition, and so we need to work on those to keep them up to scratch. We're aware through this review that the amount that we spend on renewals is the appropriate amount, 4.21 million, but our maintenance budget probably needs to increase a little bit to make sure that those buildings in fair condition keep up to scratch. That's what's recommended in this review. There are 3 other areas of assets that we also manage, which is the roads and transport, open spaces and the stormwater. Those reviews are also being done in the next year. And once we get to look at all of those, we'll be able to really work on our asset plan and how we want to spend our money in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Rooks. Councillor Lasserve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that the council has allocated the 42 million towards the building renewal in the long-term financial plan over the next 10 years. So that'll bring us up to 2033. I think that more consideration needs to be given also to climate change and the threats right across all our asset classes. But really good work to the team, and this kind of puts a footprint down on how it's going to be managed moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lasserve. Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, Councillor Rooks, shall we put that?
Just touching on what Claire Lasserve said was with regards to the climate change, and this review is leading in the sense that it has taken on local work done by SECA, local climate group, who we're recognising climate change and what the impact it could have on our buildings, especially in relation to flooding and storm surge within our area, the Bass Coast. And so that's been taken into consideration in this review, so that's a great piece of work.
Risk of out of line, also that work was undertaken with the sponsorship of the Insurance Council of Australia as well. So we'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried. 8.5 Community Grants Program Policy Review. Ms. Kennedy to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to propose amendments to the Community Grants Program Policy. This report recommends that the combined community grant budget be allocated flexibly across both the community grants and the quick grants streams. This flexibility would enable the sharing of funds between the 2 streams based on the demands of the community. It would also, and furthermore, it's been observed that due to inflation recently, this has created limited scope and quality of projects offered by the community groups, and the report therefore proposes to increase the funding for quick response grants from $1,000 to $2,000 per application. By implementing these amendments, the grant program will undergo an enhancement to ensure it is more effective and responsive to serving the needs of the Bass Coast community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Can we have a councillor move? That's Councillor Rooks and Lang. Councillor Rooks.
Thanks, Mayor Whelan. We know this is a popular program within our community. I really like it because it's also community-led in the sense that the community groups decide what they want to apply for, when they want to apply and how much. And I like the fact that as a council, we have responded to that. We responded to it recently when we introduced the quick response grants, and we're responding to it again now with these 2 changes. So it's a really good result.
Thanks, Councillor Rooks. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to highlight that the feedback that I've received from community groups that the quick response grants is very much welcomed. And I think one of the key pillars of community development is empowering the community to be able to do the things that they want to do. So I think that this is an excellent transition for the policy, and I'm very excited about it.
Excellent. Thanks, Councillor Lang. Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, you nearly got a call there, Councillor Kent, but if not, shall we put that, Councillor Rooks? We'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried. Brings us to 8.6 appointments of council committees and external committees, and Ms. Vorley to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to recommend the appointment of councillor representatives to 2 committees. It is recommended that council appoint the Mayor as the representative for the Bass Coast Community Road Safety Committee and appoint an alternative councillor as the representative for the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee. These appointments will be in place until November 2023. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Borley. Can we have a councillor to move that? I understand, Councillor Tassari.
Mayor, could I move an amendment
Okay, just tell us what the amendment is without speaking to it.
Is to appoint Councillor Rochelle Holstead as the representative for the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee.
Okay, to substitute councillor Holstead for councillor Tassari in the resolution, as we can see on the screen now. We have a seconder for that. Councillor Bauer, councillor Tassari.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. This procedural and just a couple of changes to the teams. I guess Councillor Holstead in the particular, the Emergency Management Planning Committee has indicated a keenness to join, and I'm happy to support her with that.
Thank you, councillor Tassari. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Nothing further to add.
Any other councillor wish to speak to this resolution? If not, shall we put that councillor Tassari?
Quickly, sorry, Mr Mayor, if I can, I'd just like to, as far as the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, I'd like to thank Councillor Kent on his efforts in previous years over a long, long time.
Okay, thanks for that, councillor Tassari. Those in favour? That's carried. Brings us to 8.7, instruments of appointment and authorisation. Ms Borley to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to recommend that council appoint the named officer as an authorised officer under the Planning and Environment Act 1989 and revoke an authorisation that is no longer required. The recommended changes to instruments of appointment and authorisation will be made to implement council's decision. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Borley. A councillor move and second that motion. Councillor Bauer and councillor Lang. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This again is a procedural motion and I have nothing further to add.
Okay, councillor Lang.
Nothing further.
Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, we'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried. That's carried. That brings us to 8.8, proposed road discontinuance, Ivor Street, Henry Street East and Henry Street West, North Wonthaggi and Wyndham Street and Roydon Street, Cowes. Ms Borley to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to recommend that council concludes the statutory procedures to discontinue Ivor Street, Henry Street East and Henry Street West, North Wonthaggi, and Wyndham Street and Roydon Street, Cowes, and retain the land. A public exhibition process has been undertaken. 2 submissions were received on the proposed road discontinuance in North Wonthaggi, and 5 submissions, including a petition, were received on the proposed road discontinuance in Cowes. The road is not reasonably required for general public use, and it is recommended that council retain the land for strategic purposes. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Borley. A councillor move and second. Councillor Rooks and councillor Lang. Councillor Rooks.
Thanks, Mayor Whelan. Yes, as Ms Borley said, this report looks at discontinuing 2 road reserves, one in Cowes and one in Wonthaggi. And currently the land is effectively open space with vegetation on it. The community feedback was around, I guess, not so concerned that it wasn't a road reserve anymore, but they were very keen to keep it as open space. However, this report does recommend discontinuation of the land as a road reserve, and I support that. What the report doesn't mention is the purpose. And it's been already highlighted in the community that the purpose of this land is to be used for affordable housing. That's the intention of it. This is a key objective of our council plan, so we're supporting that strategy. There is a huge demand locally and nationally, as we know, for affordable housing. And so I'm pleased to support this recommendation on that note. The other thing I did want to mention is the affordable housing strategy is out at the moment for feedback. It's in the community. You only have about 5 more days, so please get online and have a look if you want to give feedback on how affordable housing strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Rooks. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As councillor Rooks said, while this is essentially a statutory process for a road discontinuance, the strategic reason for it is social housing, and that reflects the Community Vision Priority 3.1, which states that we have housing that is affordable and appropriate for all, and our council advocates for and supports people facing homelessness. I'm delighted that this is going before council. Way back in November 2021, our council decided to offer up some unused road reserves as part of our contribution to the state government big housing build, and we are very grateful that $26 million was allocated for that. and is being spent in our community for social housing through Homes Victoria. This opportunity to open up the unused road reserves for dwellings will yield about 16 dwellings, and it's the tip of the iceberg for those individuals waiting for a home. Last time I checked the Victorian Housing Register and the information we have, there's about 700 to 800 people waiting for housing on there. But it is a way that this council continues to signal that is taking the issue of affordable and social housing seriously, and we're not just paying lip service to a problem faced by many in our shire.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, ratepayers in the gallery and ratepayers watching this meeting. This report relates to road discontinuances in Wonthaggi and Cowes. I note in this report that in relation to the discontinuance of the Royston and Wyndham roads, which is in my ward, there were 5 objections received citing parkland, open space and concerns over social housing development as amongst the reasons to oppose the road discontinuance. Council's response was these objections were outside the scope of the road discontinuance. This is not an acceptable response to my mind and is disingenuous to the community. The discontinuance of these roads is the first necessary step to build social affordable housing in these sites. If not, why does the report list amongst the stakeholders the Community Housing Limited and Homes Victoria? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it is a duck. Be honest with our community. This land will not be used for open space or parkland. These road discontinuances are driven by council identifying these sites suitable for the purposes of Community Housing Limited. The Shire does need more affordable rental properties in Cowes. I also appreciate the community shouting, not in my backyard. Since this report was first mooted, my views have shifted. With our critical affordable rental prices, we must earmark these blocks of land for new affordable houses. However, these new houses must be used for the staff of the new community.
Just a matter, Councillor Bauer, just drop your paper down a bit, would you? You're stirring yourself. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Sorry. However, these new houses must be used for the staff of the new community hospital in Cowes and Wonthaggi, and for the staff in our schools in Phillip Island, and not as emergency accommodation. To my ward objectors, I say you are the lucky ones. You own a house or you have a house you can rent. Let's open up the opportunity for others to join us and live here. To achieve this aim, we must firstly gazette that these sites are no longer roads. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, Councillor Rooks. Oh, hang on, a bit late there, Councillor Kent, but I'll give you the call.
Thank you, Mayor. I was hiding in the corner. Look, I'll be voting in favour for this, but I do have my concerns, as mentioned by Councillor Bauer. We know the reason why we're voting for this. I also have legitimate concerns for the community members that contacted me, community members who were concerned that they had to move due to medical conditions. I think in the future, hopefully, there's better education to the local community there. I still have concerns in the future about car parking and so forth for that area. But I could also say that we do have to address our concerns, and what Councillor Bauer mentioned about housing for our emergency personnel, especially at the hospital, just opens it up to who may be looking at this type of accommodation. And it's noted that some industries are having to provide their own housing. We are that short in the area, so we need to address the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Any other councillor wish to speak? Not this time. Councillor Rooks, we'll put it to a vote. Those in favour? That's carried. Which brings us to 8.9, award of tender number 23007 Mars Landing Boat Ramp Facility Upgrade. Mr Sturton to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present a tender award for tender number 23007, Mars Landing Boat Facility Upgrade. These works will construct a new boat ramp, jetty and other associated boat launching facilities at Mars Landing. It is noted that a second tranche of works will occur at the facility, which will include new car parking and toilet facilities. These works and the second tranche are funded by Better Boating Victoria and part of a Shire-wide program of greatly enhanced boating facilities. The assessment of this tender has been conducted in line with Council's quadruple bottom line policy. It is recommended that Council award tender number 23007 to Simpson Construction Company Proprietary Limited for the contract sum of $4,245,240 plus GST. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Sturton. Councillor De Mervyn, second. Lang, having trouble today with that.
Councillor Lang.
Lang, I think I got that out. Any seconder? Councillor Tassari. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Should this tender be approved by my fellow councillors and myself, it will mark the approval for the first stage of construction to deliver the major upgrade for the Mars Landing boat ramp, as Mr Sturton mentioned, has been funded, very gratefully funded by Better Boating Victoria. As I mentioned in this year's March meeting, when we approved the planning permit for the development of this project, there is only at the moment a single lane boat ramp, which generally enables launching for smaller vessels up to 5 metres only at high tide. So it's not us, and it's a site that has optimum ability for upgrades. I just briefly wanted to mention that the benefit of the way the upgrade will work is that the existing boat ramp will also be maintained to allow for non-motorised boating craft. Yeah, close enough. Basically kite surfers to continue to have access to Anderson's Inlet, because that is a great recreational opportunity at that site.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Tassari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I echo a lot of what Councillor Lang had to say. It is a great result for the community, and it's just another one that has been upgraded, funded by the state government, which we're very grateful for. The community have had their say in the design of this, and as Councillor Lang pointed out, the fact that the old one is staying there to enable not only the kite surfers but kayakers and other non-motorised vehicles is a great result for the community. So fully endorsed.
Thank you, Councillor Tassari. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I reiterate what has just been said, but I'd like to take just one step further. This is a thought bubble, so I have no prepared speech. Thank you. We had New Haven, Rill, Cowes, and now Mars Landing. That's a real feather in the cap for the Shire, and I congratulate Mr Sturton for being able to follow it to get this together. And I don't think, just off the top of my head, I don't think there's another Shire that has 4 projects like this that will be backed by Better Boating Victoria, and we should be congratulated. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. And I think it's on time and on budget, and consequently the extra work's come. So thanks for drawing attention to that. Any other councillor wish to speak?
Thank you.
We're all firing today. So any other councillor wish to speak before I go to the closing of the discussion? Councillor Lang now.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I forgot the order that I'd spoken in. My apologies to the gallery as well. You took the words right out of my mouth, Mr Mayor, when you said that we delivered it on time and on budget. So congratulations to the engineers in particular who've worked on this from council. So that's it from me.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Those in favour? That's carried. That brings us to statutory reports, and I'll seek a mover and seconder to the resolution that agenda items 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4 and 19.5 be considered as a block. Councillor Tassari and Councillor Lasserve. Those in favour? That's carried. Now, if there's any councillor wish to discuss a particular report? No. Seek a resolution that move and second that the recommendations attached to agenda items 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4 and 9.5 be adopted. Councillor Tassari and Councillor Lasserve. Those in favour? That's carried. There is no urgent business advised, and that brings me to the announcement of the next council meeting, which will be held on the 19th of July 2023 in the Basque Coast Civic Centre Council Chamber, Value Street East, Wonthaggi, commencing at 1 p.m. And now I have a resolution that the meeting be closed to members of the public pursuant to section 66 of the Local Government Act 2022. Consider items as they deal with F of the Local Government Act 2020, to consider this item as it deals with personal information, being information which if released would result in the unreasonable disclosure of information about any person or that personal affairs. For the council to move and second that motion, Councillor Tassari and Councillor Kent. Those in favour? That's carried. The meeting will now be closed to the public, and that will end today's live stream.